lovely, and welcome to this meal planning masterclass. So, this is not me sitting here going, do this, do that. This is how you should do it, because I believe meal planning should be something that you can take my tips and you can make it your own, because everybody's going to be different. Everyone eats differently as a family. Everyone has different routines. So, this is just really to inspire you as to why meal planning. So, this is something that has been an absolute game changer for me as a busy mom. And to be honest, like, the word game changer is so overused, or two words are so overused nowadays, but it really and truly has. And I know it's helped so many of my clients. And the first thing I'm going to say to you is that I'm not a mom who sits there and goes, right, I know exactly what I'm eating every single night of the week. Exactly. I have every single ingredient and yeah, it's all perfect. And I stick to it religiously. No. What I do is I have an idea, and I actually work in 3-4 day blocks, because one of the things that I do is because I live quite remotely, it's not just as easy for me, which is good, to pop out to the shops all the time. And I think sometimes as mums, it's just survival. We're sort of dashing around and go pick that up, pick up the groceries, go. And actually, if you can get into a routine of certain days that you shop or have your online deliveries coming, then it does help you to sort of plan in those 3 to 4 day slots. So I get a grocery delivery on a Monday, and then on a Thursday, we do a little top-up shop at our local farmers market and pop to the local butcher in our village. That might look different to you. Everyone's different, but it's just finding that rhythm. So we kind of plan the week and then the weekend almost separately. And I think when I could break it down like that, it just found it became more manageable to me, and I wasn't thinking I had to do all the things and, boil the ocean. So I just want to share really sort of my 7 top core tips with you that have really helped me. And, but before I do that, I just kind of want to touch on some of the reasons that I love meal planning so much. And the number one is that it cuts stress and saves time. So there's no more panic trips to the shops or shoving snacks into your kid's mouth while you're trying to make dinner after a long day. I think the hardest part of adulting, I genuinely feel, not paying bills and stuff, it's actually what to cook for dinner every night for the rest of your life. It's like, seriously, my daughter asked me the other day if I like being an adult. And I said to her, I really do. I do. And I get sometimes it's hard for kids because we tell them what to do, and, their life isn't their own. But man alive, wouldn't it be nice if someone could just serve you up food all the time and you didn't have to think about it? I can see you through the screen nodding at me right now going, yep, that's what I need. The number 2 reason I love it so much is that it really helps with the budget. And so many of us right now, I don't know anybody who's sitting there going, yeah, cost of living crisis, not a problem. Everybody's looking at the little 1 degree shifts and savings that they can make. And the average UK household, and I can't speak for other countries, but from a UK perspective, is throwing away £60 a month in unused produce and stuff that is spoiled or gone moldy, which is also why I'm a big fan of frozen and store cupboard essentials, which is why in my meal planner, I give you quite an extensive list of those things, because I'm such a big believer in using those, not only to save money, because also they're actually really nutrient dense, but I'll cover that in a sec. Food waste is such a big problem. After China and America, it's the world's 3rd biggest environmental issue is food waste. So while we're sort of worrying about recycling and doing our bits and getting our electric cars, we're throwing stuff away. We've just done a little experiment. I read somewhere that you could regrow your lettuce heads. When you get to the bottom of your gem lettuce or your iceberg lettuce, or this obviously wouldn't work. I'm sure you maybe could plant your rocket. I don't know. So, but anyway, my lettuce, I've put it in a little dish on the windowsill in water, and it's actually started to resprout and grow. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I eat so much salad. This is going to save me a fortune. So yeah, it's just that cutting the food waste is a big one. It also helps us eat healthier. And go figure, when you're organized and you're not just rushing. I mean, how many times are we like, oh, I'm so hungry, hunger and angry and give me all the food. And then you just grab any old thing, or you have to run into the shop and just buy like a soggy sandwich because there's nothing else. And you're like, oh, I just wish I'd been more organized. So helping us to eat healthier is a big part of it's not about having everything perfect, but it's about knowing that you've got solutions. So I'll often batch like prep a soup, and then I'll just put them in little tubs in the freezer. So I know if I'm stuck at home and I'm rushing and stuff, at least if I'm, between meetings, I can just shove that in the microwave, heat it up, and, pop to the loo and make a cuppa at the same time, kind of thing. And it also gives us, as another reason, variety, because again, we can get really stuck in a rut of eating the same thing. But I find if you can think creatively of not just having to eat the same meals every night, then you're going to start to eat and try different things. And this is where I absolutely love eating seasonally. It makes such a big difference, because you're like, okay, well, those are the types of things I'm going to eat in that season. And then we're going to switch. And my husband always jokes that he didn't like roast dinners in the summer when he was growing up, because they got new potatoes, not roast potatoes. And I'm like, but nowadays, everything's available all the time. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not good for us to be eating grapes in the middle of winter from South Africa. And I'm pro buy the South African produce, but it's like, how long have those been sitting on the plane? How long have they been in transit? Like, how much nutrient density is actually in those products? So this is where I'm a big fan of eating seasonally. So I'm just going to share my top tips with you now. Number one is to get organized. So what I always do before I do a little meal planning session, this literally takes me 2-3 minutes. It really isn't a long process. But what I do is I first check the freezer. What have I got? Check the pantry. What have I got? I actually don't really have that much fresh stuff in my fridge, because I tend to lean a lot on frozen stuff, like stuff I've either bulk bought because it's cheaper, or like butchers nowadays do great like meat packs, things that you can get. Obviously, if you're vegan, that doesn't apply, but pantry items, you can get such good. But it's just, again, paying attention to the quality of the pantry items. That, the cheaper you go on things, unfortunately, more sugar, more excess stuff that you don't necessarily recognize. So it's about checking your labels. But generally speaking, and nowadays, getting into the frozen veg section of your supermarket is just such an eye-opener. You can like get organic anything frozen, and it's so much cheaper than organic fresh. There is such a misconception about frozen food and fresh veg. And I'm like, there's this connotation that if you have canned goods and if you have frozen goods, maybe, that's for people that, can't maybe afford fresh food. And there's almost like this privilege around it. And I just think, hey, I'm like I love cooking from canned goods. There's actually an amazing cookbook I love by one of my favorite chefs, Theo Michaels, here in the UK, called Canned. And it's just cooking with canned goods. And I'm like, why wouldn't you? It saves a fortune. So getting organized, seeing what you've got, and then booking a time in your diary, because I really believe that which gets scheduled gets done. So that's my second top tip. So thinking about, right, so I have an alert in my diary every Sunday evening to meal plan quickly and then load everything up in my Tesco basket, because I have a delivery slot that I've booked, because I have a Tesco delivery pass, which I pay $7.99 a month for, but it means that I can just book unlimited delivery slots. So I can get 2 deliveries a week. So I can stock up on the fresh stuff, but I tend to only do 1 Tesco shop a week. And then I lean on farmers markets, produce, because here in Norfolk we have lots of farmers shops around us and local butchers and stuff, so I like to support them. But yeah, that's what I do. And it's also an opportunity. Sometimes on a Sunday afternoon I'll get that inspiration. I'll be like, right, I'm going to actually cook 2 meals for the week. It's got a really busy week, batch make a soup, and then I've got my meals and I've got lunches sorted. So that which gets scheduled gets done, and actually start small and then build on it. So you can start prepping and freezing, and then actually in a couple of weeks' time do a little bit more, and then suddenly your freezer will start to fill with stuff and you'll be like, check me, I'm so organized. Number 3 is to get inspired. Like, we always do like fun things. We're like, it's fajita tonight, or it's Mexican night. We had Mexican nachos the other night, because again, that's such an easy thing that you can do for family. Like corn chips, fresh guacamole that we make, jalapenos. I know obviously not for kids, but just think about the fun. Meat-free Monday, or use Instagram, use Pinterest. If you're not following me on Pinterest, go follow me on Pinterest. I've got so much great content on there to support and help you. So it's Wendy Griffith, Thriving Mum. And what I like to do as well when I see things is I screenshot them, and then I save the screenshots in a folder on my phone. So then you're not like, oh, where was that thing that I saw? Just giving yourself these little hacks. Number 4, which I've already, gone into, which is booking a delivery slot, choosing a shopping day, having that consistency of when you do things really just helps you stay on track and stops you then having to like do the panic dashes to the shops. And it always costs like 20-30 quid at the shop, doesn't it? So if you can cut down on that, you're going to save yourself so much money. Number 5, and I've touched on this already, is the seasonal and the organic where possible. Now, organic is just what our grandparents used to have back in the day, unfortunately, but due to over farming, over processed soil, all the things. What I like to use and is my Dirty Dozen and my Clean 15. So you can link to my meal planning blog and just, go into the nutrition section on my website. It's in my meal planning blog. And I'm actually going to be writing a blog on this in due course because it's such a great one. I posted on social the other day. People were always like, oh, this is so good. So it identifies the 12 most like chemically laden produce that has got like lots of pesticides on and stuff. And those are the things that you want to try and buy organic. And if that's not possible, to wash it within an inch of your life. So I get a veggie wash that I order on Amazon, which is great, and I use. And then there's a list of Clean 15. So the things with the least amount of toxin exposure. So those are the things that it's absolutely fine to buy non-organic. So don't get sucked into you got to buy organic to be all good. Not true. Actually, Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 gives you a really good indication there. The other thing is just in terms of variety, number 6 is to really load up your plate. And this with vegetables and salad, the rest with quality protein, things like legumes, beans, lean meat, and then complex carbohydrates. Things like brown rice, quinoa, squashes, vegetables are all slow release. So they release the glucose, which is the energy, into your bloodstream. So by loading up your plate with those items, which are sort of cheaper that you can get, frozen veg section, in cans, etc., it just makes such a big difference. One thing I would say, like convenience, a lot of people use packet rice and packet things. Like it's cheaper to buy in bulk, and you can go to these restock shops as well that you can get stuff, just take your container. But actually, I just think if we don't have time to like cook up a pot of rice, what you can do is put them into little containers and then just pour boiling water over them and then soak them through the colander because they, shouldn't really reheat rice. But if you freeze it, then you just pour boiling water over it, strain it through the colander, Bob's your uncle, off you go. Number 7, my final top tip is to double up on your leftovers. I'm such a fan of cook once, eat thrice, quadruple times. I don't even know what the terminology for that is. I love leftovers. I love knowing when I've cooked something that I've got stuff left over next day, especially if most of us work from home predominantly now, is having those meals. Because I actually find lunchtimes really difficult as a mum. And I've actually written a blog on my top lunchtime recipes, which are really handy to make so that you're not just snacking on toast and biscuits and all that kind of thing. So it really is like whipping up stews, freeze excess, fruit that's about to go bad, freeze it, use it for smoothies, blitz your vegetables to make a sauce for your pasta. Like my favorite thing is to make a big batch of like tomato, pasta-y veg, hide so much veg in there. And then we use that for pasta sauce. We use that for pizza base. We use it for all sorts. Pizzas you can make so cheaply and inexpensively, and you can actually make them really healthily. So it's just about having fun with it. And with my meal planner, you've got so many different examples that I've given you that, you can print your templates, depending on which kind of person that you are and how you like to meal plan. There's all sorts of different templates that you can go through. And, you'll probably have to use my example once and then make it your own. And then just, you'll be able to do it without my planner before long. But my planner obviously gives you all my tips, my store cupboard essentials and everything to really help you on your way to meal planning like a pro. Another little tip for you is, and I use their service, they're amazing, 5dinners.com. Go and download their app. It's free now. It used to be a membership you paid for, but as a giving back to the nation, there are a couple I know personally. They're an incredible business. He's a former MasterChef contestant. He and his wife, Anna, Theo and Anna, they have created an incredible app, which you can get for free. And it just basically, you pick the different recipes and then it puts it all in the columns for you to then shop. It's amazing. Do it. So cool. And then if you need to fill your freezer up with healthy dinners, so for the nights that you can't cook, I really recommend Mindful Chef. They're a little bit more expensive than most, but they do really good, healthy frozen dinners. So their frozen dinners actually work out really inexpensively compared to their prepackaged meal services. So yeah, those are just a little couple of extra tips for you. So yeah, I hope that's really helped you, lovely. I'm so passionate about meal planning and how much it's helped me. And I hope this has inspired you to get meal planning. Lots of love. Speak to you soon.